Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Simon Howard, Chief Executive of the UK Sustainable Investment and Finance Association, UKSIF. We've known Julia for years. I couldn't stand up at the start. I've only been doing this for about 6 years now. Don't touch the microphones. I'm conscious that Julia and many others have been doing it for far longer. I was a conventional long-only equity manager, and I've ended up here because I'm convinced it's impossible to manage money in a fund without considering far more issues than we ever used to do. It's no longer about quarterly sales. It's a little bit about quarterly sales, but increasingly it's about the long term, some of the issues Julia's touched on. Right. How long have I got, Julia, on your revised timetable? 10 minutes. Okay, let's rattle through. So, it's Good Money Week. Julia, thank you for helping us set it up, and thank you for the shout out. These are the sponsors of Good Money Week this year. We're very grateful to them. Good Money Week is going well, cropping up in the most unusual places. Daily Mail, Evening Standard last night. Our theme this year is about women and their distinct preferences and aspirations in investment, and we'll touch on that as I whiz through a quick review of where the market is. This is some of the resources available to everybody, in particular advisors, if you want to use it on the Good Money Week site. In the left there, that's the video. That is some women discussing their journey to responsible investment. That's professionals, so talking for professionals. On the left, public polling. I'll be flagging out some of the highlights of that later on. And also on the website, available from last year, that's a cartoon infographic, animation rather, up at the top left. A pocket full of change, that's called, just making the point perhaps to your clients that there are good companies and bad companies. All very simple, not going to scare the horses. That's had 50,000 views over the past 12 months. It's talking very well to people. If you feel in your business you need to make the case for sustainable investment, particularly if you're an advisor, the infographic on the right there is some quotes from leaders in the field, and it's really good. Julian up in Edinburgh says he's been doing ethical advice for 18 years and has never had to go prospecting for clients. He's always been getting referrals through that period. Really powerful stuff. Okay, let's start discussing things. We've been doing opinion polling for Good Money Week for the past 9 years. The blue line is the number of people who say it's only about the money. My investments are all about the money. You'll see that peaked at 60% in 2013, had fallen to 40% last year. The brown line underneath it is conversely people who say, I'm equally concerned about making money and making a positive difference. You'll see the blue line has been declining, the brown line also a little bit down, but basically flat. But I was very encouraged by the trend of the blue line. Those of you who were here last year will remember this diagram. It is last year's. We asked the same question this year. Bang. The number of people who are now saying their investments are only about making money has plummeted. And the number of people who say it's equally about making money and making a positive difference has increased again. And the number of people who say it's both about making money and making a difference, that is now the most popular answer. For the first time in all the years of polling, it's all about the money is not the most popular answer. And I would echo what Julia has said. Something is happening out there. The inquiries we're getting in the last 6 months from prospective members, they're household names who have no reputation or standing in this kind of investment yet, and they're now ringing and expressing interest. Something has changed out there in the broad retail and DFM-related market. Bit more detail on that polling number. You'll see the big blue bar last year's number plummeted right down. Where have they gone? Well, let's be honest, a chunk of them have gone on the right. They've gone in don't know. But the other big move is in the equal bond, the one I've been talking about. I don't mind if people say, well, you know, last year it was all about the money, now I'm not sure what it is. I don't mind that. And that's the opportunity for everybody in this room. These are the increasingly warm prospects for us all. These are the people recognizing that their past stance, their past behavior doesn't work anymore. This is our opportunity, now is our time. These are the market share figures. Julia's mentioned the top line, that's the Vigeo Iris market estimate. The bottom one is interesting. That's the Investment Association. They categorise some funds as ethical. This is their number. So the JOR is saying 19.1 billion. I've done it again, haven't I? Shouldn't be let out. There we are. Investment Association is about 16.5 billion. The important bit is both those lines are going up. They are tracking the same phenomena in different ways. And on my back-of-the-envelope assessments, the jump in the past 12 months is not just market return. It's far more than the equity market or the bond market returns. This is a gain in market share. UKSIF doesn't do market stats. We don't have the time. We quote other people's. We can comment on them objectively. I think this is only showing the market growing well. 12 months ago, I put up a slide. There was so much going on. I didn't call it straws in the wind. I called it sticks in the wind. This is what's happened. The Law Commission had started saying that a fiduciary, people like us, should consider all financially material factors. They said it again at the back end of last year, and the point Julia's just touched on, the DWP has now changed the law for defined benefit pension schemes. They have to state their policy on ESG, including climate change. It's now in the law for the big traditional pension funds. The FCA, maybe we can talk over a glass of wine about the FCA. The FCA is not so sure what to do. They're going to consult on that possible move for DC schemes Q1 next year. The importance, I think, for the advisors in the audience is this. As soon as the FCA starts saying to one of the verticals they regulate, you have to consider ESG, including climate change, I think it is only a short period of time until they say that to all the verticals they regulate. And it will be coming to the advisor community. Dropping down a bit, government and social investment, this is the Corley report. That's now in implementation mode. I think they've set up 5 working groups to implement it. 120 people from the SRI community, all the fund managers I suspect in the room will have someone helping Corley. I'm on one of the parties. This is industry-wide. It is going to happen. 2 government reports in the past 12 months have said advisors should be made to ask their clients about their values as part of the onboarding process. Corley was one of them, the other was the Green Finance Task Force report. Those UK government recommendations echo what the EU is doing. The EU has issued draft amendments to MiFID, which would require people in the insurance vertical, and that's how stuff is distributed on the continent, to ask about client values. So I have absolutely no doubt this is coming. It's going to come, I think, in the UK, no matter what the Brexit settlement is. I think we, people like UKSIF, people like Julia, other organisations, we've won the battle of persuading the civil servants. They're on board, and their masters, their political masters, will follow. I think we will win with the FCA, but as I say, we can discuss how we approach that. One issue out there is the EU high-level expert group. They did a great report. The EU action plan is less good. It's got some definitions of some of the terms which people up here will be using during the day. Those definitions have not been welcomed by the UKSIF members. It's felt they define too tightly some of the concepts. And the danger is too tight definition rules out the excellent work being done by some people. So there is an issue with the EU there. To a degree, it's relevant to Maria, who's going to speak from the BSI. There's another possible initiative we might be airing later on there. So there's a lot going on in the regulatory legislative area, but it mirrors what's already going on in the market. I remind you of those market growth stats, remind you of our opinion polling. A few more highlights from the opinion polling and then I'll close. 58% of women don't think financial institutions understand them and their needs. And when I talk to the financial advisor members of UKSIF, it's clear to a degree women don't quite like some of the conventional approaches of financial advice. One piece of feedback is you don't always have to wear a suit, gentlemen, if you're talking to a woman prospect. They see it in a way utterly different to the way I see it. I put a suit on as a defensive measure. to show I'm taking the thing seriously. That could be completely wrong for an important demographic of your potential clients. Looking around, I can see tie wearing is clearly falling out of faith. I think it's an extrapolation of that. 1 in 3 women believe the financial industry only tends to target men with information. I think there's an issue there in how we and you word your documentation. I accept that compliance is a major problem in how we speak, but, maybe what's being done isn't working. In terms of the potential market, 32% of women have no investments. Only 23% of men have no investments. So women are people, they need to save more. They're probably responsive to that message. Just 41% of women have a private pension compared to 50% of men. Issues there as well. The next stat doesn't come from our polling, comes from an interesting new organisation called Moxie Future, set up by the woman who used to run the Asian CIF. She surveyed some people. 83% of women care about where their money is invested. When we ask a similar question in our polling, approximately twice as many women care about where the money is going as men. So if you join the dots of what I'm saying, maybe approach female prospects in a different way, recognise their interests are different, they care, they appear to care more than the men, and they want probably different reporting. I would flag Julia's excellent site there. If you can tell them what is ruled in and ruled out by the fund in a practical, sensible way, that may be the way you close the deal. There we are. So that's a quick run through of the market. I'll be hanging around for much of the day. Please just come and ask me any questions you've got. Thanks very much, Julia.